Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. We come to the end of the journey. The time spent in this great region for so many of the old souls in the room will be unforgettable. Yesterday I gave a comparison of what a tourist sees and what an old soul sees. I told you about a man when we first began the journey. I told you about a man, an American, who discovered his Indian heritage and came back to this land to recapture that which he felt in his Akash. Now, dear ones, we have said so many times that the Akash is not a linear record, but a soup of energy, where sometimes the karmic things come forward and sometimes the things of the past that have had the most energy will come forward. It is a new energy on the planet where this particular record is starting to activate itself inside old souls. And what this means is that you're going to start having remembrances that may or may not make sense. How old are you? I don't mean this time. The lifetimes you have had for many of you stretch to the beginning, where you literally can track it back to the beginning days of Lemuria, some of the beginning teachings, and from that place perhaps to this place. It may be in there, dear ones. Some of you have already related to it, and many do not. And yet, almost all of you spent some time here. And the reason is because the study that you learned in Lemuria was also that which you could continue here. And from here you went other places. So the remembrance or the energy may not then be activated for you to say, well, yes, I've had lifetimes here. But dear ones, there are some other things that some of you have felt. Did you feel the sweetness of truth? Did you relate to the oneness blessing of Namaste? Did somehow that which is the energy in your Kosh relate to anything here? Not that you were here, dear ones, or you had a lifetime, but you remembered the love. When we started this journey, I told you about a man. And as I just mentioned, he was an American with the Indian heritage and returned here. 50 years is what it took for him to reignite his studies. And if you look into his history, Guru Deva studied with the masters. He achieved great enlightenment, great oneness. And then I told you that he decided to connect India back to Lemuria. And he left for the island of Kauai, where as an American he purchased the land and started that which would become a temple. The temple that he started, he never saw. But he made some rules along the way, and he had an epiphany I would like to tell you about. This is the rest of the story about Guru Deva. Guru Deva spent so much time here, you would think, well, then he must have gone to Varanasi. And he must have bathed in the Ganges at some point in time, in the self-realization of the end of the cycle of past lives. You'd be right, and he did. But like so many others before him who had things to learn and had life's purpose, he was not alone in having a vision. For he didn't just wash himself and pray. He had an explosion. And we spoke of this before, an explosion of enlightenment. He saw the whole picture. He saw Lemuria. He saw what he was having to accomplish in this moment. As soon as he touched the water, he had an explosion, a vision so real. He was to build an Indian temple perfectly with Indians and craftsmen from India. No matter how long it took, he was to build it on Lemuria, so that the day that it was then dedicated and became active and blessed, a tie between that which was Lemuria and that which is India would take place. But he didn't know why. He worked the puzzle for many years. He set the stage, the design was there, he collected the materials, and he died in 2001. It wasn't until after 2012 that that temple was complete. And that is because he could use no materials other than the ones found in India. The funding was slow, the craftsmen couldn't always come, and the temple waited and waited. It had to be built correctly, as though it were in India, slowly, properly, paid for by those who would come and understand and help fund it because they felt the oneness of what he was doing. Today it stands complete after 2012. And what he did not understand or know is that this planet, when he started, had no future, really. For the predictions said that you might not make it. And you did. And the precession of the equinoxes began, and humans decided to stay, and the temple got completed. That's when the connection between the India on Kauai and Lemuria and the India here began. The idea of the oneness connection, literally through the planet, was the vision that he got when he touched the water in the Ganges. And then I told you something startling. I told you that he's returned. I told you that there's a boy in southern India. And if you follow the belief system of the Hindu, you would say, well, he's not supposed to necessarily return. For the Ganges would then represent the end of the cycle of lifetimes. But dear ones, we told you this, and this is what you need to know. It does indeed mean the end of the cycle, the old cycle, the old cycle of karmic interaction, of suffering, of all of the things that he went through. And he has returned as a new human, without the karma that he had before, completely and totally clean of all energies and ready to begin something new. And what I did not tell you is this is an ascended master. He carries with him the teachings of those he studied with for 50 years in this land. And he still has it. And as he starts to awaken, something will occur to him. Coming from southern India will be a movement of young people led by this man, Guru Deva. Another name, perhaps, but one that might even be close to his Indian name, for he'll remember it. And I mentioned what that movement might be, but I didn't tell you who would do it. It will be him. And when he reaches the certain age, he will start a movement. And it may have one of many names, but what it will represent is the purity of the Hindu. And what that means to him and the young people is this. They will look around and say, we believe in the oneness and the respect and the enlightenment of all humankind. We believe in the oneness of all living things. And that includes the elementals, that includes Gaia, that includes all that is. And this is the initial prime directive of the Hindu, is to that respect and find that oneness in all things above all else. And he will then convince those around him that Hindus are killing Hindus by pouring into the air that which is killing his family, all of those families around, the animals, Gaia, the trees. And it will be logical and make sense. And all around him will be those who say, we never thought of this. We are actually celebrating one thing and killing it at the same time. It will start to sweep the country, not from the government, but from the young people who say the pure Hindu is one who will not kill each other by carelessness of the pollution that is here. It may take 15 years, but this man will create the new India. And you land in this great city, and you will not see what you see here. And it's not going to come from rules and laws. It's going to come from common sense and an ascended master who used to be Guru Deva. The connection to Lemuria is complete. And that is what is needed for so many to feel it and to know it. And if you look around, dear ones, that truly is what's missing here. A consciousness of purity, where you will live long lives and the explosion of enlightenment will be far easier without wearing a mask. And so it begins. And the ones who then return are the ascended ones. All of them bathed in the Ganges. All of them are returning not with the old cycle. It's over. But the cycle of the new human who sees things far differently and has them make sense to the masses. Guru Deva is not done. Do you feel these things coming? I want you to take home what you felt here that is the oneness of all things. I want you to take home and spread that which you've seen, which is beautiful and perfect and godly and makes total sense to you. Namaste. And so it is.